Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and this is the last one I'm doing for Fantasy Village besides the scatter terrain one. This is the outbuilding, which is another little small setup, and it's going to end up looking like this one. This is another that came on a different sheet, a little something you can put together. This one is just a touch different, but we will get into it, and I think they made a little mistake on this one that could have rectified a few problems with the design, but I'll show you guys how that works. All we're going to have is our single sheet here. Let's go ahead and push out our floor, our roof pieces. All right, so we're going to have two of our roof pieces, floor piece, and then we've got all these, what are these, joists, or what do they call them? Supports. All right, so let's push them all out. There's 4 total, but we're not going to use the 4. And I'll show you guys why here in just a second. So we have those, right? 4 supports. Now these support clips, these are unique to the outbuilding. The other outbuilding I built was built using the plastic clips. This has these specific support clips which take the place of those. All right, so they look kind of like the roof pieces, the roof clips, but they're not. And we got a little bit of a stickler there. Have to pull that out. There we go, just like that. Got our gaps. All right, so we've got those. We will need our roof clips as well. Go ahead and punch those out. Our roof beam, roof bar piece, we're going to need that. See, there's not a whole lot of pieces to put in this thing together. Most of the rest of it is like scatter terrain stuff, little ladder here, barrels, but there's one other little piece that we're going to go ahead and punch out. And these are the roof supports times 2, these 2 little pieces here. So go ahead and push these out and set them to the side. We will use them at the end, and you guys will see why. All right, so we can set the rest of this to the side. We've got our 2 roofs, floor, our little support pieces, roof piece clips, which we'll set with our roof out of the way, along with this piece. And now we have our supports ready to go. This is our starting point. Now, what I don't like about this is these are designed to be able to be clipped together, right? And you can see this extra one here has clips for each side, little slots ready to go. All right, and these have slots on each of their sides, but the middle ones don't. You can just bend these, but I would have rather have seen this be used as just a generic support piece, like have all of them like this versus doing it like this. It works, but it's a hard 90-degree bend. I just don't think that's needed. And the cool part though is if it does break off in the process, you really don't need it, because as you can see, this other one rests just on the 3 pieces anyway. So go ahead and give this a nice firm bend. And we're going to use this back piece to hold it together. See how that wants to pull apart? That's why I'd rather have just seen 4 pieces like this that we just clip together and make it nice and easy versus one long one that we bend. But we can make it work. So let's go ahead and put our clips here on the side in place. There we go. We'll take this one, do the same thing here on this side, and think of it just like making walls, just like the 4 walls of any of the buildings that we've done up until this point. And there's where you can see how these are a little bit more difficult to use because they are paper instead of plastic. It bent on me as I was pushing her in, but that's all right. I've got extra plastic clips. If I need them, I can always switch to them. So, and that is the cool part. If you get a few of these sets, like if you have the core space game and you get some fantasy terrain or any of the terrain, they all come with those little clip pieces. So you'll end up having buttloads of them that you can always put together to use. So we're going to push these together like this. And I might end up coming back and using those plastic clips anyway, because I think I might like them a little better. Now this looks a little better, a little cleaner, because it doesn't have the plastic look, the gray look, versus the other one. All right, so we've got our little square, and it's holding together relatively well there. It's not bad. I want to try to keep it a nice square shape. Make sure we got it pushed in all the way here. Now, yes, I haven't bothered to punch out these little pieces just yet, but they are on there on each one of those sides. So make sure and go push those back out. Let me pop them real quick. Okay, so we've got our little base here, and we're good to go. Now, all we've got left is our floor piece and our roof piece that we can put together. You guys have seen before, and these little beams. Now, the little floor here can be clipped in, or you can just set it on top. I would probably clip it in if you want to have it in like that. It is a little bit harder to clip in than some of the others, but let's throw a couple on here real quick. I might have to come back because I'm missing some angle pieces, some L's. I don't have any more available right now, so I might grab some more of those up later and push those on because it's not a big deal. Like I said, this is towards the end of the pieces that I'm putting together, so I'm at the dregs of the clips. But let's push those on. See how well they do on these. I don't think they do that well. No, they really don't, because they're not designed to hold that. I was worried about that before I was starting to put this together. Okay, I think it might work. These little notches aren't as well designed to take these plastic clips, but I like having the floor pieces in firmly like that. Let's see if we can do that. There we go. It's not bad. It's not perfect, but we can work it. And if I put a couple of clips on there later, they'll hold it in good. And like I said, I'm going to replace this with an elbow later to make it look just a little bit better. But we'll turn this around for now so you guys can't see it. So we got our roof still left to put together. Let's go ahead and do that. Make sure we've got good notches on it before we start doing it. And you guys can see this one's pretty thin. You can tell by looking at it. So I'm probably going to widen that up. And it looks like that side's pretty thin too. So we put them on like this. It seems like the left ones are a little bit thin. So we'll widen those up a little bit. Just because for me personally, I don't like having the roof too tight. Like I said, I can always come back with my glue and snug it up a little bit. But I'm afraid that I'll bend it a little bit if I have to force too hard. So I like to give it just a little extra space like that, just to make it easier as we're putting stuff together, because I don't like to fight these pieces. Now, I know what they're saying, and I think that they're right, generally speaking. Battlesystems, I mean, when it comes to these pieces, is that I can always trim this up. I can always take away a little bit of that material, but they can't put material back. Okay, so if they make these slots too big from the get-go, that's a really hard problem to fix versus making them just a touch too thin and you just have to widen it out just a little bit. That's not too bad. We can always expand. We can't go back. As usual, when it comes to the roofs, give them just a little bend, just a little bit. And we're going to have two folds through here. If you guys look. All right, so if you guys look right here, just a little bit, and we don't need much, and you can always come back and bend it a little bit further. You want just a little hint of a smile to it is all you need. And this isn't slit all the way as much as some of the other folds, and I think that's done to help you understand that you don't need to bend these pieces that far. Just a little bit, just to get things started. All right, get our clips, and we'll start back here on the back side where it's a little bit more snug. And I've showed it in previous videos, but I find it tends to catch on this side. So when you're applying your pressure, apply it down in this manner. Try to get past that little bit where it catches. There we go. And we're starting, and we're about halfway. Grab our next clip, and the side is a little bit more loose. Yep, and we're right on there. And as we're looking, you guys can see we're pretty well lined up. We can always shimmy it a little bit later if need be to snug things back up. Next roof piece. And again, if you've seen one of my other videos, one of Battlesystems' other videos, you already know how to do roofs. You can fast forward through this part into the rest of the video. This is just in case someone is watching this for the first time and has not seen this part. All right, get on there. I hate it because when it's a little too tight, you find you push one side a little bit too far. So you have to come back and keep adjusting. Yeah, because I'm further on this side than I am on this side. And I think that's because of what I told you guys, that it's a little bit looser on one of those cuts than it is on the others. So come on, get on there. Just right. There we go. That's better. Do it that way. And the pieces are relatively sturdy. So putting them on like that, they'll hold pretty well. And you can see that little bend that I gave to it works pretty well. This looks like it has a good enough slot to it to slide right in. This is our roof piece to kind of bring it all together. These are, I hate to say it, my least favorite piece. It brings the roofs together and makes them look a lot better. But for some reason, I have the hardest time getting these pieces to go on right without bending, without twisting, and all other good stuff. And I think it's just because there's so many angles that have to be done perfectly when it comes to these pieces. And it's easy to make those mistakes. All right, so roughly like that, give you a nice roof. All right, we're done-ish, except for the one part. This will slide around here, okay, if we don't have anything holding it on. And that is where these little pieces come in. Because if you look, they match these colors. So if we put that right on there, just like that, you can barely even tell that's there. That's what it's designed for. That's what I had showed you guys in a previous video. You do have to glue. There is no other way to get those pieces on without gluing. Bob Smith's is the glue I use. I find it works really well with this stuff. It sticks, and especially if it gets into the cracks, like the inner part of it, not the outside, it'll harden a piece. So if you have a piece that has bent or something like that, push it back in the right position, use a little bit of this glue or another similar type of CA glue, and that will cause it to hold, to firm back up for you. But make sure you are positive wherever you are putting that glue, because it is not coming back up once you put that down. All right, let's make sure we got this lined up just right. Right on there. You got about a second once it gets on place. And there we go. Just like that, we've got ourselves a little notch, right? That's what that creates there, is it gives it just a little bit of a notch to hang on. I like the fact that they took the steps to give you that piece, so you're able to come back. My Southern's shining through. To come back and add these little pieces on if you want them. You don't have to do this. It's not a requirement, but it does give you a little bit extra control over your terrain if you so desire it. And just like that, we are good to go. This little outhouse building is done. And you can see there's a stick to it now, right? there's a piece to hold it on. And just like that, bam, got ourselves a little outhouse building. We can put the ladder, if you want, on the inside. You can hook it up there. You can have it propped up on the side. You can put a staircase if you wanted to, whatever you want. This is just a little bit of extra terrain to look good on the board. And you do get a couple of these little buildings. And tilt the camera up, as you guys can see. Villages coming together. That's the big stuff. Got a couple of little buildings. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big buildings, and then it's all a bunch of scatter terrain left, and there is a buttload of it. Besides the lake and all that other good stuff, it's more than enough to create a fantasy village, which this is supposed to be. And there are other sets, thatch sets. It's like a Viking set, I believe, that you can use with this stuff as well. And they do sell, I believe, don't quote me at this, but I do believe they sell all the buildings individually. So if you wanted more than one, or you just wanted to get some more of the townhouses or something like that, just to kind of spruce it up just a little bit more, you're able to do that, whatever you're needing for your terrain setup. But I think one of these packs is more than enough to get a real big village going. In fact, for the video series that I'm doing, I was originally planning on using this terrain neoprene mat as the base for it. And instead, it's not going to be big enough because this is only a 3x3, and the village would take up the entire space of it. There would be like no real lines of sight. They'd be fighting inside the village the whole way. So I'm going to create like a farmland on the outside of it and have the village on one side, and it's going to be like a 6x4 setup. So it's going to be a real big battle. You guys stay tuned. I will have that set up soon. It's probably going to start after Christmas, to be honest with you, because I'm going to finish up the terrain pieces and then get all that laid out. And I am taking a few days off to focus on spending time with the kitties. All right. Other than this, stay tuned. I will be doing some scatter terrain for Fantasy Village next to finish up this series. And also, Core Space, the newest box game, Kickstarter is shipping soon. Unfortunately, the EU people are getting their copies before us. That sucks, but it's a British company, so what can you expect? So I'm assuming that's going to arrive somewhere in January. So I will be doing a big video series on that because it is my absolute favorite miniatures game of all time, and you guys will see why. All right, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to put it down below. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.